Here are 10 things to consider before joining AmeriCorps NCCC. Let's get started. Number 1, your living stipend is about $10 a day. If you do finish the program, you do get the $5,800 or so educational award, but that's only the end of the program. In some particular circumstances, you may be awarded a partial education award. But other than that, you're making $10 a day. I looked into it, and actually, according to a study from 2015, about 70% of the world population lives on $10 or less a day. Food for thought. So if you're somebody that was used to working a full-time job or even a part-time job before the program, and you actually had income coming in, then it's really going to be a big adjustment. You won't have hundreds of dollars to spend on the weekend. You get $10 a day, so you have to use what you've been given accordingly. It's doable. You can do it. Number 2, you want to get assigned to the Pacific region or Southwest region for medical purposes. Medical cannabis or marijuana, whatever you want to call it, is legal in California and also in Colorado and a few other states now. I think Arizona and Florida. I'm from Florida, but I don't use it. Anyway, it's allowed by the state, but since AmeriCorps NCCC is a federally funded program, according to federal law and the DEA, I looked it up on the webpage. I already knew it, but just making sure, fact checking, it's still classified as a Schedule I drug. So you're not allowed to do it. If you get caught, and that's one of the main reasons you want to join. Number 1, that's a really bad reason. You should want to join for other reasons than that. But number 2, if you do get caught and you're doing that, be an adult about it. You're old enough, you should know better. It's 18 plus program, come on. That's all I got to say about that. Number 3, your team van. So it's a 12 or 15 passenger van. Will be your only transportation for the main part, unless you're Ubering or something, for 10 months. Now to drive the van, you take a class, and they'll explain this at campus. I don't know if it varies by campus or what, but at least for the Pacific region, because that's the region that I was a part of. You go through a class, and they give you a whole pamphlet and everything, like what to do on black ice, tire chains, and all that. And after you're done with that, then drivers are assigned. Drivers are really appreciated. Now, an ulterior thing you could do, another option, is to be a safety. So a safety is everyone who is not a driver. If you're going on a long road trip because the project calls for it or something, then you sit in the passenger seat and you are the safety. Since it's a government vehicle, you have to log your mileage from the odometer, and also the safety. They get you this nice, bright, kind of embarrassing, but government issued safety vest. You put that thing on and back it up. You learn all sorts of hand signals. I got that in my memory now. So yeah. So if you're not a driver, you can either be a safety or a passenger and just look at all the pretty scenery. You can listen to music. Don't really talk that much, at least my team didn't. Sometimes. I got some good headphones, 3M work tunes. I promise this isn't an advertisement, but they work well. Don't get the black and gray version, get the yellow and black version. They're tight. Once you work into them, they're awesome. That's your personal space. We'll get to that later. Also, almost forgot about the vans. So you have to have at least 3 people with you if you go anywhere in the van, unless it is your TL and you. Or, in some circumstances, I'm not sure if this is really allowed, but it could also be just 2 people with the TL's permission. So that's in special circumstances, though I believe, yeah. Also, another thing to mention, if you are listed as a driver, some sponsors will allow you to drive their vehicles. But if you are not listed as a driver, then you cannot drive their vehicles. This includes, I think, four-wheelers and other trucks and all that. I did drive a golf cart though, so that was something. Okay, moving on. Number 4, you want to join AmeriCorps NCCC for the uniform. That's funny. I'm not sure if I want to meet you or not. Okay, so I don't have my uniform with me still, but I got my old hat. This thing doesn't have the best fit. So, you see how all of this is still vulnerable to the sun? You're mostly working outside. We don't have wide brim hats. The BLM, they do. We don't. So, this is your sun protection. But concerning other aspects of the uniform, you've got your boots, which I personally liked. I liked them a lot. Steel toe, black boots. You get your khaki cargo pants, khaki shorts, which I wore maybe once to try on. I think that was it. Maybe twice. Don't know for sure. Cargo pants all the way. Good thing about the cargo pants though, it's an equalizer, you know? All the ladies who complain about not having any pocket space, which I see, I get it, and plus their pants, they have like the tiny pockets. It's a big equalizer because it's unisex, so we're issued the same pants. Got all that space, you'll forget you have tools in your pocket and steal them from the work site on accident. You bring them back, of course, but something to consider. Also, you got your nice gray shirt. I'm not wearing my AmeriCorps shirt. I do still have it though. Anyway, yeah, you don't want to join for the uniform. Continuing. Number 5. When you're in AmeriCorps NCCC, you won't be able to attend religious services often. So I was used to going to church, personally, almost every week whenever I was not in the program, and then I went and I joined the program and it was a big difference, you know, you'll go for months. So factor that in. Number 6, you aren't willing to do much physical work. NCCC is not the program for you. Try FEMA-Corps. I don't mean that as a knock against FEMA-Corps. FEMA-Corps is important for whatever they do. I don't really know. Paperwork? I don't know. Taxes? They do stuff, I'm sure. We kind of have like a rivalry going on. Silent, sort of, but not silent. But if you like paperwork, if you like being in the air conditioner, FEMA-Corps is for you. I like the AC, but not paperwork, so NCCC. Oh yeah. I did meet a couple FEMA-Corps members though when I was in Louisiana, and they seemed pretty cool. You know, I didn't have any complaints, so don't believe everything you hear. Alright, number 7. This is kind of a big one. I put it as an odd number, which I think is weird, but it is what it is. So, when researching the program, I kind of figured this, but I really didn't know for sure, and I was the first one in my family, or even in my area, to even hear of AmeriCorps NCCC besides my sister, and she happened to live in Washington State for a while with her husband. AmeriCorps NCCC, they are a bipartisan program. However, most of the people in the program, from my personal experience, are very liberal, or just liberal-leaning, you know. There's only a handful of conservatives. I am more conservative-leaning. This is something to get used to. You just need to be aware of it, know where you stand, but try to be respectful of others. Personally though, even though I have my views, and I didn't agree with all of the views that I was around, I still think it's a really good program. I think it's a good opportunity to help people get out of your comfort zone, travel around the country, and you're working for it, if you don't have a lot of money, then it's a great way to see the country because you're working for it. Okay, number 8, you need to be able to adjust to the living arrangements. I lived with my team. We got sent to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for our first project as a disaster relief project. It was our first one. So we were already, bam, right in there. And it went well for the most part. But we stayed for the latter half of our project at a National Guard facility, and we were sleeping on cots in a room with 30 other people, roughly, for, I want to say, like 3 or 4 weeks. That's just one thing you need to factor in. You need to be adaptable. We were living in a place where we had our own separate rooms. You still slept about 4 people, 3-4 people to a room, but then we went from that to over 20, 30 people for weeks on end. Also, work schedules could change. So maybe you're working from this time to this time, and then the next day it changes. That's just something that may happen. It's rare, but it does happen. So just be aware of that. All right, I kind of mixed up 8 and 9, but we're going with it. So living arrangements, that's a big one for adjusting. But another thing is food. So I was a partial vegetarian for a while. That's because of necessity. That's not because I am, but because I had 2 people on my team that were vegetarians. And I also had a person on my team that had tree nut allergies. So you really don't even think about allergies if you don't have them, or types of food that you can't eat unless you have people around you that can't eat them. In a way, it limits what you can eat, but it also makes you more inventive in what you cook. So I think I actually became a little bit of a better cook since I joined AmeriCorps, because you're working with ingredients that maybe you neglected before. So it's something else to consider. Okay, well, here it is. Number 10. This one actually is kind of anticlimactic, but I'll tell you anyway. You will have very few belongings, or you should. Do not overpack, okay? I didn't believe them when they told me. Don't do it. It will save you so much hassle. The reason you don't want to overpack is you will gain a lot of t-shirts. Almost every sponsor you go to, t-shirt. Here you go. They're like Oprah, just hand those things out. Also, ISPs. Basically, an ISP is just an individual service project. So it's something you do when you're not working 5 days a week. Do it on the weekends because you have to have a certain amount of hours. Now, some ISPs, not all the time, but some, if they are clothing related, like thrift store or whatever, they will have a vast amount of clothing that you can choose from. You can purchase that from them for very cheap, or maybe they'll just give it to you. If you're kind of grossed out about wearing clothing from a thrift store, get over yourself. It's not that bad. Okay, well, I don't normally do things like this, but I just thought it would be helpful to those considering joining or those who are joining. So, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any personal questions, just put it in the comments and I will try to respond when I can. I'm normally not online sometimes, but I will try to see. Alrighty, well, that's the end of this video. If you are joining AmeriCorps, I hope that you have a very good service term, and if you are not, well, have a good life anyway, you know? Have a good day.